How y'all doing today? How y'all doing today? Welcome back to the Count It All Joy podcast with your boy Will. And I have another episode for y'all today. Today I want to talk about something that is very important to me, and I think it should be important to everybody else. Uh, I guess I'll be talking from the perspective of a young man, but this can apply to everyone. But I'll be talking from the perspective and speaking to my fellow young man, grown man, whatever, up and coming man, whatever. As a guy, as a male, I think it's important to have these certain conversations. But like I said, I'm gonna try to. What I'm talking about, it applies to men and women. So, but today I want to talk about fighting lust and temptation, and learning how to combat those thoughts and combat those feelings and those earthly and worldly emotions that they don't come from God, but it's of the devil, and certain things that it's hard to uh I guess shy away from sometimes, and it's like it's thrown in your face and so forth and so on. But yeah, today we're gonna talk about, like I said, fighting lust, resisting temptation, and fighting off the devil. So yeah, first I want to start with kind of like a quote or something. So, like I told y'all before, I do Bible plans, and uh, it's like they have devotionals, and they have certain Bible verses that you have to read. And I just wanted to basically say the quote that they wrote down in the Bible plan, because I thought it was pretty cool. But the person said, "Keep your gaze forward, look straight ahead. Remember, the second look is fatal." Imagine a Christian driving past a huge billboard with a central image. He can't help that he's seen it, but he has a choice. Look straight ahead and keep his eyes pure, or take another look. I believe that when we look again, it becomes a sin. A glance is unavoidable, but a gaze is avoidable. So, really, what I got from that is that, I mean, I think it's pretty self explanatory, but I think and this can go for man and woman, but I'm specifically talking from a man, right? It's hard to You could be walking in public, especially the times where now you have girls wearing Daisy Dukes, and they're shorter than Daisy Dukes. You have girls wearing crop tops with everything out. Like, so it's hard not to see it, right? But it's not like we're not gonna see it. We're gonna see it because the times we're in, it depends where you live at and so forth and so on. But like they said, are you gonna keep your gaze forward? Or are you gonna just look and keep it moving? Are you gonna take another look? Are you gonna gaze? Are you gonna, And I think that's where it becomes fatal for us, and becomes dangerous for us, for man or woman, because and sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather. It's been raining all week. My sinuses are acting up, so I'm kind of congested, but bear with me. Anyway, I think when like the person said, when we take that second look, or we're gazing, or we're not even stalking, but you get what I'm saying, just staring at the person, it becomes lustful. That becomes a lustful look. It's one thing, you see somebody, you see a woman, or you see a man walking past, and you look and you're like, okay, and you keep it pushing. But it's one thing, everybody, oh, like doing all that. You feel me? So I think that that's when it becomes lustful, and that's when it becomes a sin, because you're not. It's gonna be hard, especially the times we're into it. Avoid certain people, avoid certain situations, but it's upon you to uh, make the right decision, and try not to take it a step further than what it is, than just you seeing something. And I think we've all been guilty of it. I know I have been, being truly transparent, like having to uh, catch myself, right? As a young man, trying to be as pure as I can, but you still fail every single day. But and I think it's harder. No, I don't want to say it's harder than it was back in the day, but I think it's more access to certain things, and more. It's just more thrown in your face, from TV to movies to music, everything. So I think we just all have to be more intentional about, uh, like I said, like the quote says, looking and keeping it pushing. Keep your gaze forward, not looking back or taking an extra look or staring. Right. A verse that they had with that was, it's Proverbs 4:25. This is the NIV version. See but don't gaze. let your eyes look straight ahead, fix your gaze directly before you. So it's basically the same thing, but they broke it down. The quote I gave you beforehand, they broke it down in layman's terms, I guess. But that was the verse for it. I mean, basically the same thing, just making sure that we're not, staring and turning into a lustful thing, because it doesn't have to be lustful unless we make it lustful. You feel me? So, yeah, I think that as far as fighting, trying to fight the lust and trying to resist the temptation, I think it all is intertwined. And I think we have to be more intentional about making sure uh, that we're recognizing it and being cognizant of it when it becomes that. Uh, Taking a step further, I think that with fighting lust and resisting temptation, I think we have to watch what we bring into our airways as far as uh, really, we're all on our phones, we're all on our computers, we're all on our iPads, so forth and so on. And I think it's easy access to everything, right? That could be good or bad. We can look up anything we think about, we can research anything, we can listen to anything, right? There's access to everything. But I think the easy access is pros and cons to it, right? There are pros and cons to it. I think that specifically when we're talking about lust and temptation, obviously you have pornography, right? And that's all over. Like, it's shades of it in regular TV. PG-13 movies, they hint at it. So it's hard to uh not be exposed to it. But we just have to be aware of what is going on, and we just have to watch like what we're feeding our spirits. I think my mom always told me that, to make sure what I'm feeding my spirit, and making sure what I'm like. My mom doesn't. She can't watch a movie with a bunch of curse words. If they're using profanity over and over and over, she can't watch it. And I just think that goes to show how her spirit is as a person, and how close she is to God, and how she can't even be around certain music, certain shows, and things like that. And that's where I want to get, God willing, hopefully one day. But obviously, I'm not there yet. I think, like, as far like I said, I'm trying to be truly transparent. Like, I am extremely, uh, I'm a fan of comedy, right? So I love stand up. I love just comedic movies or comedy movies, whatever you want to call it. I like all of it. I love humor. So I love Kevin Hart. And I've watched every single one of his stand-ups. I watched every single one of his stand-ups, at least the ones on Netflix. I watched every single one of those. I watched all of Cat Williams. I watched all of David Chappelle's. Uh, I watched all of, not Dion Cole. It's one more dude, but it wasn't Dion Cole, but it was somebody else. Anyway, I watch a lot of comedy. And with a lot of comedy, especially in today's era, it's a lot of curse words, a lot of profanity. And it's it's hard to get away from it. But it's like, it's that catch-22. Like, is it worth it watching it and feeding your spirit with all of that, and you becoming desensitized to all of that? Like, well, is it worth it? Is that laugh worth you feeding your spirit with that? Now, everybody's in a different phase of their walk, right? So it might not affect other people, but I just think as we're trying to get closer and closer to God and get more and more pure each and every day, I believe just simple things like that, simple comedic shows, simple just stand up is important. Like, we have to watch what we're watching with that. I remember, because I was going through a period where I was falling asleep to uh Kevin Hart special. It was, I forgot what the title was, but uh I was going to sleep to it. Like, I go to sleep to all different types of TV shows. It's hard for me to fall asleep uh without the TV going, right? But I uh I was falling asleep to stand up, stand up comedy. And most of it was cursing and saying everything under the sun, right? So uh I think that I felt like it was innocent, but as I've grown, I just haven't watched it as much, right? Because, not that I don't appreciate it, because I do appreciate comedy, but I'm just trying to watch everything that, you know, I guess, let in my airways, as I was saying. So my whole point is I think that we have to be extremely intentional about what we let into our airways and what we pour into our spirit, because whatever we pour into our spirit, whatever we feed our spirit, that's what's going to come out. And it's never a coincidence. It's never the other way around. You can't pour into your spirit and then try to fake it. Eventually, what's in you is going to come out. So I think we just have to be, more so intentional about everything that we have access to, and make sure that we're not just using anything and just ignoring that the other things that come with it, as far as the negativity, the lust and temptation that comes with that. And that could be, it could be further. And like I said, I brought up the comedic aspect of it because that's something that I love, but I've had to sacrifice that a little bit because other things come with that. But going back to the point about lust and temptation, it's the same thing with movies, where they'll show half naked women, not even half naked, more than half naked women, right? Like, just, they're basically naked. It's just on TV, and it's hard, or sex scenes, stuff like. Still to this day, if I'm watching a movie or a TV show and the sex scene comes on, I gotta cover my face if I'm in front of my mom. It's out of respect, right? But I think just in general, maybe we need to all like shift towards that, because maybe we don't want to see that. But I don't know. Uh I'm just saying, I think we need to watch what we bring into our airways, and what we feed our spirit, because it's extremely important. Next, I think, and it's kind of in the same breath, but eliminate the triggers for us. Everybody knows their triggers. Everyone knows what gets them riled up in whatever way. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. I think we all have our apps that tend to show more things that we shouldn't be watching, whatever that is. If that's Instagram, Snap, TikTok, Twitter, whatever it is, right? We need to be more intentional about eliminating those triggers, right? And like I said, that could be any type of app, any type of place you go to, whatever it is. We need to try to eliminate those triggers that feed into the lustful thoughts and the temptation to do things we're not supposed to do, right? So I feel like that could be, like I said, that could be with social media, that could be with music, that could be with TV shows, that could be with movies, that could be with anything. They're all triggers that we have with certain things, and some of them feed into what I'm talking about right now with the lust and the temptation. So I think with that, we have to be, again, extremely intentional, extremely cognizant and aware of what our triggers are and what entices us to have those certain thoughts and have those certain, I don't know, feelings and emotions, because emotions are going to be evoked subconsciously sometimes, whether you recognize it or not. But I think we need to recognize it and know what, you know, what brings out those emotions in us and brings out those feelings, right? And we're going to have thoughts, right? We're gonna see things and I'm actually thinking something, but it's important to, well, I'm gonna hold that because I'm gonna direct that into something else. But uh yeah, but with social media, again, like I said, we're going to, like, we're trying to watch what we bring to our spirit, watch what we bring to our airways, and then try to eliminate the triggers as much as possible. I know, I know some people, like my mom's not on social media at all because there's so much stuff on there. She's starting to use it a little bit more, but only for exercise. But it's like so much stuff on there, and it's so easy to get distracted, and uh, it's so easy for you to get off your pivot when it comes to that. So, like I said, if you need to take a break from social media, if you need to take a break from watching certain movies, listening to certain music, just clear your spirit as much as possible. I think it's extremely important. Uh, okay, excuse me. I'm sorry. I told you I'm congested. Uh, Staying on social media a little bit, I think it's extremely difficult. Uh, Specifically as a young man, right? Everything you see on social media with a girl, and I have my own thoughts about this. And this is not just about girls, but posting right on Instagram, I have my own thoughts about this, and I've talked to several people about it. Most of them don't agree. I have a handful of people that agree with what I'm thinking. I'm just I'm gonna keep the thoughts to myself. But basically, with social media, a lot of people just post their fit pics, post different things, how they look, what they're doing. People literally take time on Instagram, or well, specifically Instagram, but any type of social media, to just post everything about their life, right? All their highlights. I think that, and I'm gonna talk from a young man's perspective, but this can also apply for women. But from a young man's perspective, everything I see is a girl basically naked, or posing with her bottom in the frame, or some type of provocative something. Like, it's just always, it's hard not to see it when you're on, like, even if you don't even follow certain people that do that, right? Somehow, some way, a video is gonna get suggested, like a reel is gonna get suggested of something, right? A sexual joke or something. It's just crazy. Like, you just have to be aware of what's really going on, right? And you know, what's on your phone, what's on social media, because it's so easy these days to get distracted, and it's so accessible, and it's just all in your face. Pause, right? It's being thrown at you, so it's hard to not acknowledge it sometimes. But I think we can acknowledge what it is, but move forward. Like, acknowledge about, okay, I see this, but I need to keep it pushing. So, like, one thing I do now, because it's always some crap. I don't even know how my algorithm. The algorithm's crazy. I think that's another thing in itself. I'm pretty sure older people might not know what I'm talking about, but I'm pretty sure they know the word algorithm. But specifically, algorithm for Instagram, for TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but for TikTok, stuff like that, Snapchat, whatever it is. It's not. You don't even have to like a picture or anything, right? But if you do, boy, best believe. Say you like a picture of LeBron James, all of LeBron James' feed will pop up on your Explore page, like everything. So it's the same thing. You might see a post of somebody talking about a sexual thing, right? If you like it, bro, you're about to see those 1,000 posts just like that pop up and are suggested for you. And it's just crazy because it's how the internet works, which is cool. But again, there's pros and cons to it. If you're looking at certain things that you're not supposed to, or you're watching certain things you're not supposed to, those things are gonna pop up. Those things are gonna have more of a, I guess, tendency to be in your face, right? So I think knowing what social media can bring, and knowing that, again, as a young man, from a young man's perspective, I feel like a lot of women and dudes do this too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about from a man. A lot of women post themselves looking, what's the word or phrase, scantily clad, whatever. I forgot what my mom says, but basically they're just looking, a little bit. They got a little bit too much dip on the chip, right? They're appearing fast. If y'all know what that means, my grandma used to say that. But yeah, we just have to watch what we're looking at, and it could be easy to see it and be like, oh, okay, blah blah blah. But we need to see it, keep it pushing, right? Even if that means unfollowing certain people. Like, there's certain people that they might be influencers, but they're posting other stuff. They're posting certain things you really shouldn't be looking at. Or if you're in a phase of your life where you don't want to look at that stuff, then unfollow them, right? It's just certain things that we need to try to eliminate as we're along the process, so we can eventually get to where we want to get, right? Uh, I think another thing that we have to be not even weary about, but be intentional about again, is basically watching our influences, right? That could be friends or family members. That could be a mentor. That could be whoever it is. I think, and this sounds cliche. I remember people used to say this. I was like, man, whatever. But it's true, right? The people you hang around and the people. Well, this is the quote. You show me your friends, I show you your. It was like, you show me your friends, I'll show you your career, or I'll show you where you're headed, or something like that, right? basically the people you're around, the people you surround yourself around, that's who you are as a person, right? Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, you're going to, their habits are going to wear off on you. Your habits are going to wear off on them. That could be good or bad, right? But if we're spending so much time uh surrounded by, I don't want to say negativity, but sinful thoughts, sinful, again, going back to the whole thing we're talking about, lustful thoughts, uh things that are feeding into temptation to do certain things. It's like, look, you have to be honest with yourself and be able to decipher what's going on and be able to uh again, just be cognizant of what it is and who it is, because not putting the blame all on them, but you can be around a friend that you've known since you were 2, 3 years old. But if they're in a different walk with you, that don't mean you have to love them any less. But you might have to distance yourself, right? You just like smoking and drinking all day. I might not like doing that. And I might, or maybe it might be someone who was smoking and drinking, right? And they're trying to get out of that phase of their life. But if they're just surrounded by somebody who just smokes and drinks all day, it's going to be hard for them to actually get out of that phase of their life when they're trying to make a concerning effort to, you know, get out of that phase. But if you're just completely surrounded around people that do that and doing things you're trying to get away from, it's impossible, right? Um, so I think we have to be intentional about that too, like watching our influences. Like I said, that could be friends, family members, whoever, right? Everyone can influence everyone, right? Anyone can influence anyone, rather. If you're around somebody enough, trust me, you, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, you will see them starting to wear off on you. If it's certain terminology, if it's certain slang, if it's the way you talk, like it's going to wear off on you. Like people aren't born, like simple thing like this. People aren't born with an accent, right? You could be white as day, right? You could be black as whatever. If you're surrounded around a certain group of people or a certain culture, you're going to talk like them because you're around them, right? So I think that's an easy example of whatever you're around, it's going to wear off on you and it's going to become you, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. But again, I think we just have to know the significance of it and know that the people we're around, they do shape us and form us. So if you want to hang around whatever, if you just want to, if you want to hang around whoever it is, then just know that whoever you surround yourself around, that's probably what's gonna come out from you as well. So I think we just have to be uh honest with ourselves really, and know who we're around and what we're around and who's really influencing us, because the people close to you will influence you whether you want them to or not, and that's the truth. Something that I kind of hinted at earlier, but I want to have its own topic about it. But taking the lustful thoughts that we have, and those can be breeded from social media, music, TV, movies, friends, whatever, right? Taking those lustful thoughts and directing it somewhere else, right? I think it's easier. It's definitely easier said than done. It's extremely hard as well, but it's something that can be done, right? And that once you have those thoughts, you have to have the maturity to be like, okay, let me think of something else, or let me do this, or distract yourself from that. You just have to direct those thoughts, because those thoughts are going to come sometimes, right? Those sinful thoughts, we're in the world, so those worldly thoughts are going to spark up sometimes, especially uh when they're getting, I guess, egged on by something, by another factor, right? Cause and effect. But I think that we have to be extremely aware of those thoughts and when they come about, and how to basically, all right, no, I'm not doing that. Like, let me direct these thoughts and these feelings and these emotions somewhere else, because they're not of God, right? They're of something else. So I think when we do that, it gets better. I'm not saying it's gonna work every time, right? uh, trust me, I would know from experience, but it's when you're working at it, and this is in life, when you're practicing at something, you're gonna get better at it. So I think as long as you're practicing and uh putting it into practice that okay, this thought came, okay, boom, let me think of this, or let me do this, or let me turn this off, or boom, let me listen to this, right? To distract yourself, not even distract yourself, but direct those thoughts towards something else, something positive, something godly, something that will actually feed your spirit, what you want, what you need to feed yourself with, right? But yeah, that was really what I wanted to say towards that. As far as it's very important. We can do it. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard, but we can direct those thoughts somewhere else and change those lustful thoughts to something else, right? We can take it into one thing and make it to another, right? Uh, I think transitioning into a different point as far as uh like relationships. I think another thing too, again, this comes from social media, movies, TV shows, whatever. I think it's I think we have a tendency to just see the person's external features and rule out their internal qualities, right? I think obviously you want to be attracted to your significant other or somebody that you want to be in a relationship, right? You want to be attracted to them, right? But the most important thing is what's inside of them, pause, right? Their internal qualities, their who they are at the core. And have a lot of friends who went for the external thing and they're going, I don't want to say the phrase I'm thinking of, but they're going through a lot, right? It's because they're choosing to prioritize. I don't even want to say because how good you look or quote unquote how good you look is not an earthly thing. Uh, I mean, all of it is subjective at the end of the day, right? You could look attractive to somebody else. You could look unattractive to someone else. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Uh, but I think we as a society, people try to set these beauty standards or however you look, or you have to look like this, or you have to at least look like this, or rate me from 1 to 10, like stuff like that. It's just so it's vanity, honestly, right? Uh, and I just think we have to be intentional, and this is for men and women, right? We have to be careful about because, like I said, again, I have close friends who the girl is insane, right? Insane, but she's bad, so I'm gonna just deal with it. And on the other end of the spectrum, I have friends who the guy is crazy, toxic, cheating, all of this, right? But the girls, like, no, I have to stay with him. He can change, like all this stuff, right? And it's like we just have to know what, like that comes from. It can come from a lustful like mentality, as far as we're worried about what they can do. It could be sexual, it could be whatever, right? And we're not thinking about what really matters. And yeah, that just goes from that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, as far as we can't we can't value how someone looks or how someone appears, how they dress, over what's really inside them and what their morals are and their values are. Because when we do that, it becomes dangerous, right? It's not healthy. I think another thing too, everything I'm really saying, I think all of it's really intertwined, but I just have these notes that I wanted to get off. But I think we need to make sure, and I kind of hinted at this a little bit, but we need to make sure we're, you know, accountable, self accountable, right? We're taking accountability and being honest with ourselves. What we struggle with, again, what our triggers are, who we're around, what we listen to, what we watch. All of those things are factors. And they can lead to good things, they can lead to bad things, they can lead to lustful thoughts, they can lead to godly thoughts, right? Whatever those factors are, You have to be honest with yourself and be like, okay, when I do this, what type of emotion does this evoke? What type of mentality does this breed? What type of what type of what type of thoughts does this thing, bring about? So I think when we're honest with ourselves, I'm not saying it's gonna be perfect, but when we're honest with ourselves and we actually acknowledge what's going on, and when we're fully transparent with ourselves and acknowledge that we're not perfect and that we're gonna mess up, but we have to know those mistakes and those triggers. Everyone has different triggers. Everyone has different habits. So if we catch those habits, then we could try to eliminate those habits, right? And we could try to chop off at them every single day, because it's not gonna a habit. You can't break it just like that. Now, there's miracles you can, if God wants you to break a habit like that, then you can. But a lot of times you have to work towards it, right? It's a steady process. So the only way we can really break certain bad habits or bad thoughts, uh, is chopping that every day, but being honest with yourself and recognizing what it is. So I think that we need to be honest with ourselves and hold ourselves accountable. Um, and then also, I mean, this is really with everything. So I'm probably any of these talks I have, I'm gonna probably talk about this, but we have to talk to God about it, right? I think that's the most important thing. We have to pray about it. We have to have a conversation with God about it, right? A lot of these problems we have are self-inflicted, right? It's it's us failing the test. It's us not being able to fight temptation, fight the devil off. But then a lot of it is the devil, right? A lot of it's just the world we live in. Death is not from God, right? God is not like, all right, I'm gonna make sure that Sally or Michael they die in the car. Like, that's not God. It's just the world we live in. Stuff happens, right? But I think that a lot of times when we get into things, it's us just being humans, us making mistakes, us sinning. But talking to God about it, trying to get more clarity on things, trying to grow closer to Him, that's always the answer, right? And that will always be one of the answers, if not the answer, right? And again, praying about these lustful thoughts and praying about resisting temptation. And again, this is not just for one gender. This is for men and women, right? This is for everyone. This applies to everyone, right? This applies to anyone who's listening. I think we all can learn from this. I think we've all had these thoughts, and we've all have to deal internally with whatever it is. But once we acknowledge it and know what it is, then I think it becomes a little bit easier. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, because again, I'm still working through it every single day. When I'm talking to you guys, I'm also talking to myself. I'm trying to apply what I read, and I'm trying to give it to the masses, but I'm also trying to receive it as well, because it is hard, right, as a Christian in this world, because a lot of times it's frowned upon, or it seems like too much, or it seems dramatic. I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I'm nowhere close to that, right? But it's certain things that if we say we're Christians and we say we're close to God, we have this relationship with Him, it's just certain things we're not supposed to be doing, right? And we're supposed to look a certain way. And you have people who appear one way in front of people and then they live a whole different life. I mean, that is what it is. Can't I'm not about to judge you for it. We all have our own flaws. But as far as, again, these lustful thoughts that we all have sometimes, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you got to the point where you're so where you make sure you eliminate all of these things where these thoughts don't even come about. But I don't even know if that's a thing. But because just the world we're in, like, you would just have to live on a ranch by yourself, know nothing, and even then the devil's gonna try to come and get you, right? But again, with the going back to a conversation we had a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, whenever it was, about technology, it's tough. Like, it's so much access to everything, right? And we're so dependent on it that we forget that, bro, we can literally, I was talking to Nate. I know I keep mentioning Nate, but we always have good conversations. Nate was saying he brought up a point. He was saying he was talking to one of his friends, and he said that truly, what do we really need our phones for, right? Besides, you might call your mom or call your wife, whatever, if you're not with her. But what do you really need your phone for, right? Because if you want to say, oh, I need to look up stuff or do, you don't need social media, right? You don't need social media, right? You can use it to keep up with like I said, the daily people you have to talk to on the daily, that's what it's for, right? But as far as the other things that we use it for, back in the day when there was a minute phone, you weren't on your phone on YouTube or stuff like so it wasn't even you didn't have access to that. But now we have access to that. So besides the necessities that a phone is for, what do we need it for, right? And he said, if you want to look something up, do that. You can find it in a book. Now, it might not be the most efficient way, but there's other ways, right? Rather than always being on your phone. But it's the fact that we're so dependent on it and it's so accessible, which is a good thing. I love technology, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not coming down on technology, but I'm saying us as humans and the way we use it, it becomes a crutch sometimes. And again, all of this leads back to what I'm saying. As far as the lustful thoughts, as far as the temptation, all of it is intertwined. And we have to pray about it. We have to talk to God about it. We have to be honest, right? With ourselves and most importantly with Him. Because again, God already knows what it is. He knows what we did. He knows what we're currently doing. He knows what we're going to do. But to build that relationship with Him, we still have to talk to Him because He already knows what we're thinking. He already knows what we're saying, but He already knows our heart. But us talking to Him about it, it helps you in the long run, right? It helps you eliminate things when we're praying for, Lord, please take these thoughts away. Please take these emotions away. Please help me to be able to fight temptation. Please bless me to be able to resist the devil. It's a verse. I forgot what the actual chapter is and whatever, but resist the devil and he'll flee. But it also says that the devil is roaming around like a lion seeking who he may devour. I probably butchered it a little bit, but maybe it was prowling around like a lion seeking who he may devour. Basically, the devil is always trying to get people, right? And if he already has you, he doesn't have to get at you, right? If you're already living the life for him, then you don't have to worry about him. He's already has you. He's trying to get the people who are trying to live for God and are trying to change their lives around and just trying to get better each and every day under God, right? Under His tutelage and under His law, right? So I think that again, just we have to be extremely important. Going back over everything, trying to fight the lust and temptation, like I said at the beginning, need to keep our gaze forward. We can't. That second look becomes fatal, right? We're gonna see it. It's inevitable, especially the world we're in. We're going to see it because people project themselves that way. But we have to know that I can't get caught up with that. I need to keep it pushing, right? I think we need to be intentional about what we're bringing to what we're feeding our spirit, what we're bringing to our airways, TV shows, movies, everything. We have to be intentional about that, making sure we're not just watching anything, right? It's easy access to everything. Doesn't mean we need to indulge into it, right? Eliminate the triggers. We know what triggers are. You can only acknowledge and say what your triggers are and what gets you going, good or bad, right? Taking that knowledge and eliminating those things that trigger bad habits, right? Bad thoughts, bad emotions, right? I think that's another part to it. Uh Again, social media in itself, you know what your what your feed looks like, right? You might have to get off that. You might have to make another account. You might have to, I don't know. But look, social media is becoming more and more provocative every single day. So you have to be intentional about what you're looking at. So if that means fasting from it, fast from it, right? Watch who your influences are. Friends, family, mentors, whoever. Who you're around, that's who you're going to be. That's who you are. That's who is influencing you every single day. That's who's shaping you. Be intentional about who you're around, right? Who you spend your time with. Another thing is, this is extremely difficult to do, but directing those thoughts, taking the bad thoughts you have and taking them somewhere else, turn them into good thoughts, right? I don't even know if I have the recipe for it, but it's a practice that we could practice, right? It's something that we could practice and something we get better at, and it's gonna only turn into good things. Not saying it's gonna be 100% success rate, because it's not. But if we're trying to do it, trying to practice at it, trying to get better at it, it's something that can help us in the long run. As far as relationships, or trying to get into a relationship, or finding your significant other, don't have this lustful mentality, trying to, or shallow mentality, however you want to call it, just looking at the outside, right? Just looking at the body, just looking at the face, whatever it is, right? We need to know that it's more important, and we need to prioritize who the person is and what they're about, right? Because when we're just thinking about what they can provide for us physically, then it becomes lustful thoughts, and then we're trying hard to fight temptation, right? Again, make sure we're holding ourselves accountable, make sure we're being honest with ourselves, making sure we're being fully transparent with ourselves, because we're lying to ourselves, we can't get anywhere. We're not going to grow. So you first need to be honest with yourself so you can be honest with others, and then transition to that. Make sure you're talking to God, be honest with him, let him know what you need to work on, let him know what you need help with, right? Because we all need help with something. Asking God for the blessings, asking God for his guidance and his mercy and his grace, it all plays a part. And I think it'll all help in the end, right? In the long run. But that's basically what I want to talk about today. Again, I'm sorry, y'all. Congested. It's been raining, my sides are acting up. I'm under the weather. So hope y'all could bear with me for this long. Sorry if it sounded nasty, me sniffling and all that, but hey, look, it is what it is, right? But I apologize. Yeah, that's why I want to talk about something that's, again, all these thoughts, all these topics I've literally pondered on these for years at this point, right? And trying to figure out different ways to get better at it, and talking to God about it and all that. But a lot of times, God's just speaking through me. Like, sometimes I don't always know what to say, or what my next topic is going to be, or what I'm going to talk about. But God always finds a way to just let me know what it is. And again, I'm not just talking to y'all, I'm talking to myself too. I'm trying to be receptive to what I'm saying too, because we all can learn from this, and we all can get better from scripture and just godly behavior, right? But I appreciate y'all for listening in. I thank y'all for still supporting. Please like, share, follow. If y'all follow me on Instagram, you follow my Instagram page. If you can like, share, and repost those reels, just trying to get those out as much as possible. I made a TikTok page as well. I think I might have to put that in my bio or something like that. But I made a TikTok page as well. Again, I'm not on TikTok. Nate forced me to make a TikTok just because, it's another way to get the word out, and publicity wise. But I deleted the app as soon as I made it. So, yeah. But anyway, like, share, follow me on Instagram. Again, I know I said I was going to make my YouTube page, which I already have. I already have the videos uploaded. I'm just trying to find a good time to actually post them. Make sure everything sounds good, looks good, so forth and so on. But yeah, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Stay blessed, stay prayed up, keep God first. Love, attitude, gratitude. I'm out. Peace. I pressed stop.